I am Jessica Butts. Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast, where I help you learn to be unapologetically who you are and live your life from the front seat through personal development, self-awareness, and real and raw conversations about life, love, and business. I'm a former psychotherapist and couples counselor turned author, speaker, coach, and lovingly, well, I hope so anyway, been nicknamed Jessica Kick Butts because I believe sometimes we need hand holding and sometimes we just need to be told the freaking truth, even if it hurts a little. So each week I'll be sharing truth bombs, life lessons, powerful interviews, and intuitive insights to empower you to get up, show up, and live your life in a new, powerful, authentic way. So if you're ready to climb into your front seat and embark on a journey of total transformation, you have come to the right place. Start your engines. Let's do this. All right, Front Seat Lifers, I am excited to bring you a sassy, inspiring, courageous woman, Miss Jenna Faye, and she is here today to talk to us about her fabulous journey from Soul Beat Strategy. So it's the name of her company. So Jenna, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me here, Jessica. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. So this is my second year doing the podcast. The first year felt like a whole lot of education. Like I went kind of balls to the wall and I just did a shit ton of education, went absolutely crazy. And this year I'm really, really inspired. I changed the cover photo. I changed the intro a little more Jessica Butt kicky. Not that I'm not normally that way, but I want to bring other women on. I want to have this conversation. I'm personally craving it in my life. And so I have a sense that there is a collective urgency for women to be having these kinds of conversations. I just recorded an episode yesterday with my dear friend, Sarah Dean, and I was on fire just talking about women's rights and, just getting excited about who we are in 2020 in this world and how we can go after our dreams, how we can be unapologetically who we are, how we can basically go against the norm, right? Like leave corporate America, kind of go do our thing. So Miss Jenna, I have lots of questions for you. So will you just introduce yourself? Let's just start by introducing yourself to my gorgeous listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jenna Faye. Thank you for the intro and having me here today. As you mentioned, I'm the co-founder of the company Soul Meet Strategy, which I run with my partner in Shine, aka my husband, Spence.
Cute.
Most of the time.
Yes.
And so we run our company together. I'm up here in Canada at my first home base that I've had in 3 years after digital nomading. So that feels really exciting to be running our company from more of a home base now. And what we specialize in, the short version, is partnering with other conscious leaders to help them scale their soul mission into the multiple six figures. So both a combination of business strategy and leadership coaching are the two main things that I specialize in.
Awesome. So I'm typically kind of all over the place, but I do want to go somewhat in sequence because I know how important it is to the trajectory of your story, your life, how you're going to inspire our listeners. So that's the main purpose of this. So let's start there. You were in human resources, which I find hilarious because so was I. That was totally my story. And I was like so uninspired, so bored. I mean, again, I was like, am I really going to do this for the rest of my life? Like, I cannot live like this. I cannot be married to this person. I cannot do this white picket fence bullshit. I cannot go to 9-to-5 job doing something I literally could care less about for a company that I could care less about. Like I didn't care about anything in my whole life. I just didn't care. And so obviously that had a direct reflection on how I was treating myself and treating my body. So tell us your story, Jenna. First of all, how old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh my God. You're a fucking baby. You're a baby. Oh my God. I could be your mom. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Okay. Talk to us about your story. How did all this happen? Working in HR, you up and do what?
Sure. I'll give you the the shortish version, and you let me know if you want to go deeper on anything.
Awesome.
So I did kind of, it sounds like in the same path of what you were doing, where I did everything I thought I should do. So right after graduating high school, I went into university, went into business after a little bit of a pivot, because my immediate thing that I was really excited about taking was actually anthropology and sociology. Realized pretty quickly there's not a lot of jobs in that industry. So then I switched into business, only because I had no idea what the heck else I wanted to do. So immediately upon graduating, got my big girl job, which I mean, all things considered, I felt like I'd really lucked out at the time to walk right out of school and walk into an HR and health and safety management position. It just kind of happened. And I learned so much when I was there. But I also went in with the intention of, number one, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And also, I knew I really wanted to help people. So HR kind of seemed interesting to me, because I'm like, I can recruit people, I can make their dreams come true and hire them, I can support them, all of these things within the company. It seemed like it could be really exciting. And then I realized I was working for a manufacturing plant, not exactly glamorous. I was basically a glorified babysitter. And although I had some really great corporate leadership and other experiences of things I got to do, the primary job I was doing was babysitting people and firing people. I got really good at laying people off and soul crushing people that they wouldn't have a life anymore. That it was not really exactly what I wanted to be doing with my life. And like you mentioned, it was all a direct reflection of everything at that point. I became a stepmom at 17 and was in a 7-year abusive relationship. So I was in that relationship while at that job. I was 70 pounds heavier.
Oh, wow.
I was taking care of both my parents. I was the full-time caregiver of my grandma. My friends even called me Mother Jenna because I took care of everybody but myself. And it was all just a distraction to not have to really look at me and what I actually wanted to do.
Wow. You're quite an old soul. Have you been called that before?
I have for a very long time.
You certainly seem wise beyond your years.
Definitely.
Okay. So you're also an INFJ and I'm an ENFJ. I don't know how much you know about type, but how much being an old soul, being what I would say intuitive, feeler, think outside the box kind of person, do you think went into this like early on realization for you?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think I had been so numbed out and disconnected from myself that it wasn't super prevalent at the time, because I was so disconnected. And it wasn't until I started connecting and actually getting to know the real me and start taking away all the shoulds of what I should look like and what I should be like, that I started to actually connect to, my intuitiveness and my actual gifts, my actual skills. Because up until then, I honestly did not really know. And it was that introduction to entrepreneurship and coaching back in 2014 that the light bulb kind of went off of, wow, I can do and be something different.
Okay, so tell us what happened. I believe in, and not everybody has this, but I believe on your knees moments, on the bathroom floor moments. Mine was on the kitchen floor moments. Like everybody has those moments. What was the moment when you were like, fuck this shit? Like it sounds like something happened. What happened?
There was two main things. So the first thing happened when I was still in my corporate job in the very early stages. And at first was a personal epiphany moment where I was trying to get on my stupid dress pants. I hate wearing dress pants while we were trying to go send in my yoga clothes. And I was trying to get on these stupid dress pants, and I kept getting fatter and fatter and fatter, to put it simple, because I was so unhappy. I was binge eating. I had a shopping addiction. And here I am trying to put these stupid pants on for a job I hated that I couldn't get them up anymore. So it was literally me laying on my bed being like, what is wrong with my life? I can't get these pants on. So first, it started with that epiphany of like, I got to do something about me. So I started working on my health. I hired a personal trainer who I remember laughed her ass off when she met me, because you had to do an assessment and she's like, do a squat, do a push-up. I'm like, I don't know how. What are these things? And I was the only person she apparently ever upsold in her life, and upsold me from, I think, 12 group sessions to like 12 months of one-on-one.
Awesome. Awesome.
It was a hot mess. So it started with my own transformation of just literally feeling better, starting to lose weight, which then had the trickle effect of more confidence and eventually had me leave the relationship I was in, which basically led to my second epiphany where I was still in the corporate job. I'd had all this inner work that was going on. During my health transformation, I got into network marketing with a health company. And that was my first real taste of entrepreneurship, but I didn't really know like how to make that a full-time kind of thing. So I was more of a product user. But what
happened- will you pause 1 second? I think this is a very pivotal thing that you just said, that my listeners, I always love thinking about them. And I think they're driving right now. They're at the gym. They're doing something. And I think they're saying, but wait, pause, just like I am. Because a lot of my listeners, as a lot of people, women in general, are having that moment where you had of, how old were you? Young, it sounds like 21, 22?
Yeah, I'd say about 22.
Okay. So at 22, I want to know the feelings going on with you about that transition, Jenna. So you have this fine corporate job, you're leaving this relationship, you're losing a bunch of weight, you're going down the personal development track, which I'm going to guess means you had to cut some people out of your life. You had to make some changes. And I want you to tell us what that was like.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, what it was like in the moment was equal parts empowering of feeling things I'd never felt before. You know, I had been bullied in school. I was a very introverted person. I didn't really leave my house, minus going to work. I didn't have a lot of friends. So there was this empowering part of starting to find more community and a connection to myself that I never knew was possible. But at the same time, and I'm sure you've experienced this and your listeners have too, where you still have like your inner critic, you still have your gremlins. So I feel like at that point on the journey, both noises were still pretty loud. So I still had a lot of like, who are you to do this? You're not capable of that. Like, you're not worthy of this. But then I had this new voice as well who was like, you totally got this, girlfriend. Go for it. So I honestly feel like it was a very conflicting time in my life for me of like, it could have gone either way.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any backlash from people, parents? Okay, yeah. Talk to us about that, because that's, I always, I think it's a progression. I mean, you're in it, right? It's a transformation. It's never done. Like, I mean, people are, people say, I don't know, they think, oh, we've got it all together. I assure people, I do not have it all together. I'm just a little bit further along than some people, but we're always transforming. And I think at those pivotal moments, we have to make some really tough decisions. And I think back on mine when I kind of left all of them, right? And you were about to get into your next transformation, but it's when you choose to leave, what people are saying, what people are thinking, people are watching, there's some judgment. Why don't you just do this? What about health insurance? What about your marriage? What, all the things. So how did you combat that? Like, I need to do this thing for myself.
Yeah, and there was backlash. I mean, everything from obviously leaving the relationship I was in was not easy, and that ended in a restraining order, and there was a lot of healing to happen from that. So that was like major backlash because no one took me seriously. And for those of you that have been in a bad relationship before, you've probably been in that place where you said you're going to leave, but then you don't actually leave, and nobody really believes that you're really sticking to it. And I didn't really believe it either, but I feel like I had created such a big circumstance with that it kind of had to happen. So that happened. And there were so many things from friendships, family relationships, people who were saying everything from, I don't even know who you are anymore. Because it's disrupting, right? You're literally creating a new identity for yourself. So it wasn't just the internal voices. There's these external voices of people being like, who are you to do that? It really raised some concerns for people in my life, primarily because it was rocking their identity, because I had been the strong one and the rock, the one to, lend money, do all of the things. So it was a lot of resistance that I worked through at that time. And this is like the messy stuff that nobody really sees,
I know, and this is why I want to talk about this, because this is the work. And I think there's a lot to be said for the bright, shiny, I don't know why I keep calling it transformation, the bright, shiny change, because I don't believe in like being woke and awakened, and I don't believe that bullshit. So whatever, like we're making a change in our lives. And the reality is there's a lot of what you're talking about. And I like to remind people of this. I want people to know it is 1,000 times worth it, but it is not always an easy uptick trajectory. It's not always this like, oh, it's just fine and you're going along. There are bumps and people bash you and you go down. And some of the time it's your family too. And you just said something very powerful. And I was thinking the same thing, is that when we change, you, me, anyone listening, it rocks other people's world because it also shines a light on them that they are not changing. And misery likes company. And when you start evolving, transforming, whatever you want to call it, changing, evolving, it makes other people very uncomfortable. And that is why, Jenna, I want to have conversations with you, people like this all year, because I want to remind people that, again, it is worth it, but people are not going to like it. And it makes people very uncomfortable. Yet we then have to, one, stay committed to it. And number two, we have to find like-minded people.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the hardest things, and I'm always as transparent as I can possibly be with my listeners and with everybody, is that I'm going through that right now too. And it's painful. Like, there are just people in my life that I don't know what else to say, just kind of don't want to be in my life. And it sucks and it's hurtful and it's painful. And I've come to this realization through like a lot of self-work over the last few months. Don Miguel Ruiz's book keeps coming up, is like, all I can do is do my best. And I am unwilling to stop evolving for other people's safety. I am unwilling to stop evolving for others people's safety. I'm just unwilling to do it. And that means sometimes I have chills right now. I just gave myself chills.
Yeah, I'm like, you got to put that as a quote.
Everybody keeps saying this. Every time I do a podcast, they're like, you got to use that as a quote. But I personally am unwilling. And that is the uncomfortability of growth. That is the uncomfortability of evolving. That is the uncomfortability of entrepreneurship for sure. It's the uncomfortability of leaving a relationship and getting into a new relationship, traveling. I mean, what you're about to tell us about. So yeah, girl, this is not always easy. So thank you for being so honest about the fact that, it's not always this easy upward trajectory. People get pissed. It's uncomfortable. There's lots of tears, all the things.
Yeah, it was 100% not easy. And I think in terms of like tangible tips, when I think back to that point, and honestly still to this day, was all about evidence creation, because I had lived this particular reality in my little bubble and everything was comfortable. I had gotten to a point of being so comfortable being uncomfortable in my life, whether it was with my weight, if it was being complacent, staying in my job, being in this relationship. I had just become really comfortable being uncomfortable. And I had to start taking like the little steps that nobody else really notices but you. And it feels really messy at the time. But for me, it was one little thing at a time. It was, finding the network marketing company for the health product. It was putting it in my body. It was hiring a personal trainer. It was leaving the relationship. It was like one thing at a time that slowly built up the evidence of a new reality, which also boosts your confidence to be like, okay, well, I also have this evidence as well of this new path. Whereas before, when you first start, you don't really have any evidence. You have to start somewhere with that action piece where you just kind of grow the muscle a little bit more and a little bit more. So I had started to bulk up those muscles a little bit by the time I left my corporate job. I had met my now husband, and there was probably an 8-month period where I was still at this job. I was dabbling in entrepreneurship, but I was also calling him at lunchtime at my job saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't be here anymore. And my kind of second epiphany was, like I mentioned earlier, I had to do a lot of layoffs and a lot of firing due to the economy. And everybody at the company I worked for was extremely tight-knit. Like people who had been there for 20, 30, 40 years on the manufacturing floor. And it was like sons and moms and daughters, like everybody knew each other. And on people's birthdays, the company would give them $20. So it was one particular guy's birthday, and I was the one who would give out the birthday cards. And so I had a stack of birthday cards on my desk looked at the one guy's name and I paged him on my phone from my office, and I had blinds and I could see the manufacturing plant through my office, and I paged him and I like looked through the window and I saw him. It took him 20 something minutes to get to my office because he hugged every person on the floor till he finally made it to my office. And he walked into my office and like fell to his knees literally and was like, "Okay, Miss Jenna, I'm ready." And I handed him his birthday card and he started sobbing. And this was like a 50, 60-year-old man. He's like, "I'm not fired today." And I said, no, it's your birthday. We would not never do that on your birthday. And he's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And he was so grateful, but so upset. And I realized what I was doing with my
wow.
day. I'm like soul crushing people and telling them they don't have a job, and people who they genuinely, I like to think, liked me there, but they had they feared me. And that was not how I wanted to spend my life. So it was literally a couple days after that I put in my notice. I had no plan. I don't necessarily recommend that, but I had no exit strategy. I was still over $20,000 in debt from my ex. And I quit and was like, I'm going full time in my business. And then we started traveling shortly after, which kind of led the journey of now where I am today.
So I want to get to that right after this comment. What you just said is very important for people to remember. And a big thing I would say for my girl boss group. So I have Front Seat Squad where I just, talk about front seat life stuff. And then I have a girl boss group who are just beginning entrepreneurs, and then a mastermind for lady bosses that are leveraging their business. And the girl bosses have, and I think everybody does at this level, and possibly we do at all levels, but specifically it's easier in the beginning to focus on what's not working versus what you just said is I'm looking for supporting evidence of why this is going to work. And girl, that is an amazing thing that you were able to do at such a young age. I think that's hard to do at any age, but that is something that I think specifically early on entrepreneurs or anybody who is looking to make that shift like you were, instead of looking, because there's a lot of shit that fails in the beginning. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that fails in the beginning. And what we can do is look for supporting evidence of no, it's not working. But what you said is looking for supporting evidence of it is working. And I can actually do this because I believe in universal energy 1,000%. And I also believe in God 1,000%. And I believe that we are given signs from God. Like he can't come down and speak to us, but oftentimes there are ways that he can speak to us through supporting evidence, but we have to open up our eyes and pay attention to what those signs are so that we get what you were talking about. So that is really, really, really great advice.
Thanks. Yeah, I always think of it like we have our blinders on, and as we move forward on our journey, it's removing those blinders because there's all these things that are right there, but we have to actually turn our head to see them. And one of the things I always say to our community is to hold the vision, not the circumstance. And I feel like that is so important no matter where you are on your journey, is to have clarity and connection to at least the direction of where you want to go and what you want to create. Obviously, it can be messy and it evolves, but to have somewhat of a vision that's going to keep you moving forward and not to get so caught up in the circumstances. Like you said, the things that fail, the things that don't work, the inner critic thoughts, those are all just the circumstances. And people love to stay in their circumstances because it's familiar discomfort.
Girl, I could not agree with you more. I talk to my clients about this ad nauseum, that if we do not stay connected to our long-term vision, there is no way we're going to get up every day and do this shit. Because I could just go do whatever. My dream, I have a new dream job. Actually, I have I used to have a dream job, which was being a grocery bag checker, because I'm pretty sure they don't take their job home with them, right? They don't wake up in the middle of the night and worry about it. They don't wake up in the mornings and have to do social media posts. Like, they go to work, they talk to some people, it just seems dreamy. And then the last time I was in Maui, I found my retirement job, which is driving the Maui, the fun bus. Like, there's this cute little shuttle. It's not even a real bus. It's like it's a trolley. That's what it is. The Kanapali trolley. This is so going to be my job when I retire because I'm so extroverted. I'll have millions, but I'm still going to drive the Kanapali trolley. But anyway, the point is we will give up. And you're right, the circumstances as you're building are not great. You got $20,000 in debt. I was going through a divorce. I had $50,000 in debt because I had just gone back to graduate school. You know, the circumstances were lined up that, girlfriend, you better go get a job. Yet the vision is, that does not line up with this vision because I got some shit to do. So I quoted you, by the way. I have a quote from this episode and now you do. Hold the vision, not the circumstances. Jenna Faye. Nice job. Nice job. Okay. Let's finally get to okay. So you quit this job. You're with this new guy, your husband. What's his name again? Spencer, cute. What did you call him? What is he?
My partner in shine.
God, that's so cute. Adorable. Okay. So tell us, you go and travel for 3 years, and this is getting to kind of the soul meet strategy part of this. So talk to us about the traveling and how that lines up with how you find the steps to your soul mission. I think every entrepreneur wants to know this. I'm not going to lie. I want to know this. How do we stay connected to all that? I'm guessing all of this is interrelated.
Yeah, they're also interconnected because so Spencer and I met when I was in my network marketing days, still in corporate. I prospected him on Tinder. Ladies, don't do that. It worked out for the best, but
oh my God,
I don't know how
right now.
Yeah. So I had gone on a really bad date after leaving my relationship that my girlfriend set up for me on Tinder. And he tried to sell me some sort of something from a network marketing company.
Oh my God.
Like, no more dates. I'm going to be single forever. But I already had this one booked with Spencer. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go and just do what this guy did to me. And Spencer looks pretty fit. I think he'd like some protein shakes. Let's see what's possible. So we met in person and he moved in a week later.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
And literally our company kind of started the week that we met. Like, it was so weird. We met and he moved in. We knew we were supposed to do things together. And within, less than a year, like, I quit my job. Spencer was going through some really big depression of like, what was his soul mission? What was his purpose? He tried some other businesses that didn't really align for him. I was making this big leap. And that's kind of what set us up on the trajectory for the travels, which was such a key part of this story. Was we had talked about wanting to do travels together. Didn't really know where, didn't really know why, just knew that we weren't happy in the city that we were both from. We didn't really want to be in the big city anymore. We wanted to go do something different. So we had moved into a townhouse, and 5 weeks after moving into the townhouse, while we were literally driving home, one day we said, let's just leave. We just moved. We said, let's leave in 3 weeks. Got rid of the townhouse, got rid of all of our stuff, literally hit the road 3 weeks later with no plan. I was a little bit disillusioned, thought I would become a millionaire overnight, realized that didn't quite work. But we left, and it's been the most triggering, healing, growth-orientated thing that I've done on this entire part of my journey was the travels, because it forced us to get really clear about what the heck we want and to get into alignment to actually hold that vision and make it happen. Because up until then, it had been messy. I hadn't allowed myself to really get excited about the bigger vision of what I want to create. And so I was dabbling. I was network marketing. I was life and spiritual coaching. I was business coaching. I was doing energy sessions. Like, I was doing all the things, but none of them maybe particularly well. So we start traveling. I'm like, okay, got to niche down. I got to focus, figure out what we want to do. And Spencer and I knew we wanted to do something together. So we birthed this idea of soulmate strategy. He gets credit for the name. He's great with names. Came up with this idea because we're so passionate about the rise of consciousness within humanity, the collective healing that is taking place. And we both share the belief system that business, especially entrepreneurs, are like the secret key to making that thing happen.
Yes.
And it became very clear to us that our soul mission, the vision that we're holding, the mission that we are on, was to support the other entrepreneurs on their journey of that. Because there's some, as I'm sure you see, there's some serious gaps in the industry of either really talented, amazing people who don't have the profitability and the visibility to actually make the ripple effect. I always say the ROI is two things. The ROI, like return on investment, but also the ripple of impact. And so many people aren't making that kind of ROI that they're capable of.
Yeah.
Or there's people who are way too much into the strategy that they're still disconnected
Totally.
from themselves and their vision. So the idea of soulmate strategy was to bring those two things together, that embodiment, the connection, and the actual tangible strategy that it takes to move the needle forward to, in turn, really shift the collective as well and speed things up.
Awesome. How are you doing that then? So that's the the what, and then what's the how? So this is also great for my entrepreneurial listeners. Like, what's the how? How do you take that and put it down to some paper and the strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I could talk strategy all day.
I love it.
For what I see for most entrepreneurs with this is basically looking at it as like 3 prongs. So looking at your own connection to yourself, you can call this connection to source, God, spirituality, embodiment, but this is like the actual personal connection, the inner work. So, and that's an ongoing journey like we've talked about, but it's being really aware and intentional with that and knowing like you can only take people as far as you've taken yourself. Like you can only grow your business as far as you've grown yourself. So looking at it from that angle.
Awesome.
Prong 2 is the actual leadership piece. We do a lot of leadership work, and like whether someone's working with us or not, I think that this is a non-negotiable part of the journey, is to actually do the leadership work to be able to hold that space for others, like the space for transformation, the container for change. And obviously these things are all connected as well. But like, let's say if somebody hasn't stretched their capacity to receive more money because maybe they were working at a 60K a year job and now they're trying to become a multi-6-figure earner in their business, like there's some gaps there. Most people are like blocking themselves off to receiving more money, and they haven't really stretched that capacity for themselves to receive more and therefore serve more. So looking at those two things is key.
This is so huge, because I've experienced this. I mean, I guess if I can talk about other people, but I think people are interested in personal stories.
Yeah.
It is so fascinating and hard to hear this. I mean, I think people don't want to know this, right? They want to do the frickin' strategy. It's all they want to do. I'm going to put pens, especially us Jays. So we are the go-getters. We are the get out of my way. Like, I got shit to do. And we just want to do. But the other side of it is this being piece. Yeah. So when I think about my journey, it's been, it's basically 6 years since I started my life over and got divorced, started over, did all the things, my dating when I first started was awful because I had no self-worth, none. I mean, it was embarrassing. Like, if I look back on it, it's embarrassing, but it is what it is. It was part of my journey. And the trajectory of my self-worth, of knowing that this is how God made me and realizing and doing the work, I think what you're saying is very difficult for some people to hear because they just want to strategize their way out of it. And as a former psychotherapist and obviously someone way wise beyond her years, this is one of the secret sauces for sure, is doing the work. You just said something, you can't grow your business further than you have personally grown. And I have to say, I have personally experienced this many, many times. And it's one of the reasons that I like to call myself Jessica Kickbutts, because sometimes people just need to hear this. Like, I just had a conversation with one of my lady bosses, and she didn't talk to me for 2 weeks, maybe longer actually. And she came back and was like, basically like, fuck you. I love you. It's exactly what I needed to hear. I've been licking my wounds. That hurt. That was awful. And you're right. And I love you. And let's move forward. And so it's a lot. It's a lot of work. So what's number 3?
Yeah. And just on that too, one of the big things that ties those other two pieces that I think connects to what you were saying is, I really believe that our businesses are our greatest mirror, especially as entrepreneurs, because it shows you your own gap. And like you said, everyone wants the strategy, they want the quick fix, they want the wins, they want to make the cash flow, the impact, but it's like how you do anything is how you do everything. So
one of my favorite sayings. That's hilarious. I say that all the time. Yep.
Yeah, and if you're throwing yourself into the business and strategy, which I've done, I've hit the burnout. I created adrenal fatigue. It's like, it always catches up to you somewhere. And where else is that showing up in your life? Like I noticed that pattern had played out in my business, where in the early stages before entrepreneurship, I took care of everybody else but myself as a distraction to not have to look at my own shit. And then I did the same thing again with my business, just in a new way, where I'm like, I'm going to focus on everybody else. I'm going to focus on strategy. And it was the same thing. It was a distraction from not having to prioritize my self-care, to connect with myself, to work on the being instead of the doing piece. And it's like you can hustle your way to 100K. I really believe anybody can, because
I actually agree. But then after that, shit gets real.
After that, like, you can't scale something because either you're going to be burnt out or nobody really understands what you do, and you just hustled your way to get some people to say yes. That
you're like my soul sister. You're like my dark-haired soul sister. I seriously cannot agree with this more. And this is why I talk about there's the steps. You have to first, who are you? Yeah. Then where are you going? And then how are you going to get there? Because there's so many people that do all the mindset stuff, but none of the other stuff. Like, you can't mindset yourself into $500,000 or $1 million. You just can't do it. And you certainly can't just focus on the third, like, how am I going to get there? That's all the strategy. But if you don't know who you are, if you're not doing the self-work, if you don't figure out your type and how you are and your family of origin and all your triggers and all your stuff, all this is going to fall apart. And you are so right about your business being a mirror. Like, it is, I mean, yeah, it's awesome and terrifying. Like, every time I hire a no coach, I'm working with Kate Northup right now, and I'm like, okay, buckle up. Like, here goes the personal ride, but also the business ride. Like, we're doing a meditation yesterday and I'm crying and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, like, I'm already in the thick of this. Like, this is fantastic. So,
yeah. So those things, those are all huge. And then number 3, when it comes to the strategy piece, the business piece within the business, one of my mottos is simplify to amplify, because I'm sure you probably agree, most people are doing way too much shit within their business. They're trying to do it all, and then it leads to doing a lot of things, but none of them really that well.
Totally.
Well, like all the symptoms that come with that. So the motto is simplify to amplify. What we teach within our model of, once you are clear on your soul mission, and just to be clear for everyone listening on that, it's going to evolve. Like, your soul mission is like what excites you, and how can you link that up to impacting other people and your own personal vision of what you want to create. So, like, an example, my soul mission is going to continue to expand. The high level view is I deeply know that the work we're doing is helping to raise the collective healing. Like, that is like the bigger soul mission of I know why we're doing what we're doing. But then I still get more clear of, like, I know 2020, my mission is to help 50 different conscious leaders create multiple 6 figures so that we can help add at least $12 million into the global economy through conscious businesses. Like, that's the mission for this year, which helps with my own vision of crossing the $1 million mark with our company this year. Like, it's all interconnected. So the actual steps, once you can connect and feel clear on that, and don't overthink that either, 'cause so many people are like, wronging themselves and overthinking, like, is this the thing? Like, the thing is literally what excites you now, and how can you really deeply connect to that? And then the 3 steps that I think are the most important is alignment, strategy, profitability. Like, they can all fall into those buckets. So alignment is looking at your messaging, who in the hell are you actually speaking to? Because yes, niching is important. It's not the only thing, but you still got to know who you're talking to so you can connect to them and find them and invite them into your community. So that's like your message, that's your niche, that's your offerings. Like, what's the transformation you're facilitating and how? The strategy piece is the growth. Like, what are you actually doing to make those things happen? So, like, what's your marketing strategy? How are you developing yourself as a sales leader? How are you getting in front of the people that you want to connect with? And that has such a deep project management piece that a lot of people don't want to do. They just want to, like, intuitively flow with their heart. But I also feel it's about the dance between the two, like doing what feels good and also having some plans in place. So you're not doing 200 things at once.
Yeah.
So strategy, and then profitability is actually knowing your numbers. having the connection of all the things that you're doing to make sure it's on purpose, because cash is ultimately king. And if you don't have cash flow in your business, you have a project. And if you have a project, then that's cool, but you're in the business of charity, which is fine. And then you need to look at your actual model of what you're doing to make impact that way versus with a business impact, because they're two very different animals, really.
Yeah, you're speaking the truth, sister. I mean, you're just straight up speaking the truth. I teach the same things, and I love this, and I love how clear and honest you are about it, because what I find is the majority of entrepreneurs are definitely intuitive types. You're one, I'm one. However, we have the J, and so, it obviously comes with its own faults for sure, but a whole lot of entrepreneurs are NPs, and NPs are straight up the visionaries. They're the squirrels. They love the ideas. They love to come up with new things, but they do not like implementing. It is just not in their nature. So one of the best books that I think mid-level to high-level entrepreneurs is obviously Traction by Gino Wickman. And then also Rocket Fuel. That book, straight up just gives me permission to be the visionary. It gives me permission to dream and to go away and take trips and be the visionary, and knowing that at a certain level, you've got to hire that integrator. You've got to hire a team to help you do the thing. Because one of the things that I preach all the time is you cannot be good at everything. It's not the same person. An S and an N are two very different people in a business. And all the N's, all the visionaries, all the intuitives absolutely need that integrator. I mean, even Amy Porterfield talks about it. She's an ISFJ, possibly an ISTJ. But she talks about the fact that she actually is supposed to be the visionary in her business, but she actually struggles with it because she's such an S. And so she actually has to have people around her to help her with the visionary, because her natural role is actually more of that integrator. And so whether or not you hire somebody like you or me or a coach to help you get that kind of clarity and traction is critically important, because you talked about it as a project. In the States, we call it a hobby. And basically you have a hobby, and yet as a collective, you want to raise the consciousness. I want women to kick some fucking ass is what I want. I want them to out-earn everybody. I want them to create a legacy. I want their kids to be proud of them. I want them to be proud of themselves. I want them to create wealth and those kinds of things. And it takes what you're talking about, strategy and growth and profitability. I just started Profit First.
Best book.
I can't wait. Everybody keeps telling me this. So when I got divorced, I did, help me with his name. The guy who helps people get out of debt. Is it the Rich Dad Poor Dad guy? No, the other one. Everybody listening's right now, you dummy, his name is something, and I'm forgetting. Anyway, Everybody knows it helps you get out of debt. But I'm pretty good at this, and I've got a bookkeeper and all the things, and a tax accountant, but I can't wait to read Profit First.
It's really good. Anybody listening, even if you're not making much money yet in your business, it's worth reading it, and some of it's going to go over your head, and that's okay. But even if you take the basic principles and just set up your accounts, because it's helping you step into that, right? So it's you want to prepare yourself for that next level. So even if 99% of your money goes into your personal account right now, because that's what you need to do to pay your bills, that's okay. But as you start to earn more, it's you're going to have systems in place to support you. And that's the strategy piece that most people resist. And then they don't know where their money's going, and they're over investing. They're treating their bank account like a piggy bank from their business, and it's not setting them up to be a sustainable business as the global economy really shifts. So that's something really important. If you're committed to impact, then that means also committing to your relationship with your finances, your relationship to money as well.
Awesome. Dave Ramsey is his name.
Yes.
I tried to not interrupt you, but I was like, Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey. Don't forget it. Dave Ramsey. If you need to get out of debt, like I swear that book is written for intuitive types. Like it was, I read that thing in a weekend. I was like, this is gold and it's so obvious. And I heard Profit First is really obvious too. So anyway, okay, we are getting up to an hour here. Like we can talk. I bet we could probably do this for 4 hours, but we're not going to do that today. So give us some closing thoughts. Like what last closing thoughts, and then obviously tell us how we can find you because you're freaking brilliant. I've so enjoyed this conversation. So give us some closing thoughts and then how we can find you.
Thanks so much, Jessica. I think closing thoughts, because I know a lot of women who are listening to this, I think are very visionary and they've got the ideas, and it's like, how do we ground that down into reality to make it happen and birth it into the world, whether it's new or if you're going into the next stage of your business, into your life. So one of the big things that I find people don't do that I think could be a really good closing thought is to create yourself a map. Doesn't matter if you're listening to this and it's the start of the year, the middle of the year, sit down and dedicate a weekend to making yourself a map, reconnecting with your goals, and make it really simple. Like get clear on the bigger picture of what you want to create, like how much money excites you, because most people don't hit their goals because it doesn't actually excite them. So what really excites you and why? And reverse hack what needs to happen. There's a really great book. I know we're giving a lot of book recommendations today, but it's called Traction. And in that book, it's BRPS, which stands for boulders, rocks, pebbles, and sand. And if you apply that to your business, you're going to have such a simple but easy to follow business map or plan for the year where you know that everything you're doing is on purpose to actually driving income in your business. And so you're not ending up with the shiny object squirrel syndrome, and then you don't see the results in your life of what you want to create. So that's what I would recommend if you're very visionary. Create yourself an actual map, but do it in a simple way and put it somewhere where you're going to look at it and base your day-to-day, your week-to-week, your month, your quarter on the actual plan, because you're going to see the needle move in the direction that you want it to go.
So good. So good. So good. All right, girl, tell us where we can find you. People are going to just come swarming to you. Tell me Instagram, all the things. Where can we find you?
Yeah, I love new friends and connections. So if you want to be connected, Instagram is our company name, Soul Meets Strategy. And if you follow me on any of the platforms, send me a message so then I know, and then I can follow you back, because that's really important to me. So that's
and your page is stunningly beautiful, by the way. I was talking to you this morning at 7 a.m. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Yeah.
You're
well
early
done.
to alert.
Oh, yeah. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. So that's our Instagram, Soul Meets Strategy. Our business Facebook community, that's where we spend most of our time. That's where I do most of my free content, is called Fulfill Your Soul Mission. If you search that, there's heaps of trainings, resources in there. Would love to have you be a part of the community if you're listening to this. Or search me up on Facebook, Jenna Faye. And again, add me as a friend though and send me a message so then I can follow you back and know where you found me from as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I feel very honored right now. Like one of my goals, just for the listeners who don't know this, one of my limiting beliefs has been that I'm not very interesting. I've been living in this little silo. I've been just doing my own little thing for probably 3 or 4 years. And this year I'm like, I want to go play with some new people. I want to meet some new awesome people. And so I'm just feeling really grateful in this moment that I stretched out of my comfort zone and am reaching out. I mean, you reached out to me, so thank you for that. But that I just get to sit down and talk to like amazing people like you and share the wealth and share the love and like just, again, collective consciousness. Like let's raise this consciousness with women, human beings in general. Just I love it, love it, love it. So thank you so much for spending your time. Thank you for, talking to Stephanie. Thank you for filling out all the questions. And mostly just thank you for being brilliant. Like I'm not going to lie, I'm 20 years older than you and I cannot wait to watch you. I can't wait to watch you. Like it's just going to be amazing to watch where you go, girl. It's incredible.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And thanks for having me here and to be in contribution to your amazing freaking podcast. And have created as well. It's a serious honor to be here and to jam out with you because you've built something really beautiful, and I'm excited to see what these next years are unfolding for you as well and for your tribe as well.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much.
Thanks.
From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is, if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.